Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem went on Meet the Press on NBC this past weekend, where she was asked repeatedly if the opening up of Guantanamo Bay in Cuba to house undocumented people, if that was going to include pregnant women and children. And host Kristen Welker, there's a very specific reason why she asked that question. It's something I addressed a couple days ago. And that is the fact that in spite of the administration telling us that we're only rounding up the worst of the worst, we do know that there have been plenty of pregnant women and children that have been swept up in these deportation raids. So they're lying to us about who they're getting. And Kristen Welker was trying to call Kristi Noem on that. And here's what happened. Welker said, "There are a lot of questions about the announcement this week that Guantanamo Bay will be used as a detention facility for migrants." And Gnome responded and said, "We've always had a presence of illegal immigrants there that have been detained. We're just building out some capacity." And Welker says, "Is it possible, Madam Secretary, that people could be held at Guantanamo Bay indefinitely?" Because, I mean, after all, that's what Guantanamo Bay is known for, right? You stick a detainee there and you just forget about him for 20 years. And of course, because it's out of the country, everybody here in America seems to forget that these people exist. Gnome said that that's not the plan. So it's not the plan, but not the plan doesn't mean no. That's important to remember. So Welker says, "Could women, children, and families be held there at Guantanamo?" And Gnome responds, "If you look at what we are doing today is targeting the worst of the worst. The priority of this president is to go after criminal aliens that are making our streets more dangerous." Now, before I continue, let's address that fact. We know that that is not true. We have seen the people on the flights. We have seen the people being arrested. These are not people on the terror watch list. These are not criminals. And of course, the other day, Caroline Leavitt, Donald Trump's dim-witted spokesperson, did try to, do a little catch-22 on us and say that, well, if they're in the country illegally, then technically they're criminals. So yes, they all fit that criteria. That's how they're trying to get around it, and that's how they're trying to sell it to the media. The only thing that Caroline Leavitt doesn't understand, I mean, she's very young. She's not that bright, clearly. But you're not a criminal if you have never been convicted. That's how it actually works. You do not carry the label of criminal if you have not been convicted. Until then, you are a suspected person of interest, right? You're a suspected undocumented immigrant. You're not a convicted border hopper. You have literally not committed any crimes. So even their twisting of the definition of criminal doesn't even work because they don't know what that means. For example, if somebody crosses the border illegally, which is a misdemeanor, but they don't ever get caught, that person by definition is not a criminal. By contrast, Donald J. Trump, the president of the United States, was in fact convicted by a jury of his peers, and he is a criminal. See how that works? The people crossing the border that have not been convicted are not criminals, but the president of the United States is. I hope that clears things up for everybody. But anyway, back to this. Welker asks, "But I guess, Madam Secretary, my question, would you rule out that women, that children, that families could be held at Guantanamo Bay? Do you rule that out?" And the Secretary of Homeland Security says, "Kristen, we're going to use the facilities that we have. And I think you're well aware we have other detention facilities other places in the country." What does that mean? That's not even close to being an address of the question. You just started spewing out this verbal diarrhea. Are you going to put pregnant women and children and families in these facilities? And she's like, "We got lots of facilities. I don't know if you know this, but yeah, there's some facilities." Yeah, facilities freaking everywhere. Wow. Not even close to an answer. So I think from her refusal to answer the question, we can go ahead and assume that yes, we will have pregnant women as detainees in Guantanamo Bay. We will have children in Gitmo. That is what Kristi Noem's non-answer tells us. Thanks for watching today, everybody. And don't forget, if you're not already, please do subscribe to this channel. We have fresh content going up every single day, and I would really hate for you to miss out on that. And speaking of missing out, if you're not following me across all other social media outlets, then get on it. You can follow the links in the description of this video.